Hi everyone, it's Karen. I'm just here to bring you a project that I've been working on for a charity auction that will be taking place later this month. And what I've created is a fabric album with a pocket inside that also contains a paper journal. And I've also put some tags and some little note cards, handmade notepads in it. So what you're seeing is the front of the album, and the colored flowers and middle of it is made from a napkin, which I adhered to a piece of cotton with saran wrap and ironing them together, so it makes the napkin sturdy and more like fabric. And then I've added some beautiful elements. A lot of the laces and trims are from Craft Supplies For You, and some are from my stash. So on the very front of the album, I'll just lift it up so you can have a closer look. On top of that beautiful napkin, which is in the background, is some appliques, and these are from Craft Supplies For You. This is the full-size one actually, and this one I just cut it so that it's just this little piece here, and I put those on the front, and I like the way the napkin kind of can see through the fabric of the appliques. This really pretty trim around the edge is from Craft Supplies For You, and it's also one that I've used previously where I just cut off this little edge here and used it to trim around an image, so it can be quite a useful trim. This is another trim from the store, and I've actually used it on both sides of the page and then glued the pieces of the applique together, the lace together, over the applique part where the sequins and beads are. This is a really pretty trim from the store, and made at the edge of the page, and it's very sturdy because of how I pieced and glued it all together. This is another little trim from the store, which is actually has 2 rows of this with a little bit of netting in between, and I just cut it apart and used one little piece here. And it's a pretty trim with a lovely little iridescent kind of thread around the edge of those little flowers. It's quite pretty. This one is also from the store, and the loopy flowers are a separate one that's also from the store. I put them in the center of that. On the binding of the book, one of my little beaded angels. And then this is a separate trim with the little loops on it. This is another one. It's a heavier cotton trim that I used to make the backing nice and sturdy, the binding. And then this is 2 trims here. This one is, the ruffled one is from Craft Supplies For You, and it's a soft sort of satiny kind of trim. And then this beaded one on the center of it, just to add a little something there. There's lots of dangles and laces and trims throughout the bottom of the book, and I'll show you those as we go along. This pink lace, I just liked it. It went along with the pink in the napkin, and that's from my stash. And then underneath that is a bit of satin ribbon and another little trim, about a 1/2 inch trim with a little satin center in it from Craft Supplies For You. And I made that as an extension on the bottom of the page so that the dangles hang at different levels, so that everything, some kind of peek out. And then I added in this trim, which was from the store originally, but I've had it in my stash for a while. I've been hoarding it. And I hand set the little pearls in the center of the flowers. So that's the book opened up. You can see there's lots of dangles and laces hanging down the bottom, which really I think adds a lot to the fabric book. And in the first page here, I've put a 1/2 pocket in, added some of the beautiful, these little rose, this rose trim is from Craft Supplies For You, and I usually end up cutting them apart. They do come all connected, but I like them almost more like appliques, and I've used those coming out the edge of my cluster here, a crocheted flower that I've made, a loopy flower in the center, and these are little fabric flowers from Craft Supplies For You, as are the little buds, and those sort of make out the rest of the spray there. And then in the pocket, I've just made a couple of tags and added on some seam binding and a little bit leaves and a little beaded flower, and those are just tucked into that pocket. And this is the fabric I used on the back of the inside of the front and back cover. So both these tags have journaling spots on the back if someone wanted to use them for that. And then there's a little paper clip here with a little bit of a dangle and a beaded butterfly on there. The bottom, again, eyelash trim is from Craft Supplies For You, and it's quite a wide trim with the beautiful little fringe on the bottom. And I've added in a little bit of bling and some green flatbacks and clay flowers on that, just to add a little bit more color and tie in to the top of the page. And then this is another one from Craft Supplies For You, and it's a very pretty trim with beads. It's probably difficult to see, but there's little pearls sewn all along these, and it's really a pretty little trim. And then this one is the back of the one from the front, but I also added the flat packs on because it does dangle out on the bottom of the page on this side, and I wanted the pearls to show on either side of the page. This pocket, or this page, thinking ahead, this page and the next one form the pocket, which has the little paper journal in it. The journal's, I think it's 5 by 5, and I've just tied it shut with some seam binding. I'm not going to open it. It's full of tucks and quite a few, like lots of journaling space and pages, and it's all stitched, and it's got all kinds of little inspirational messages inside and everything too. I used this lace on the binding after I stitched in the signature, and the edges of this lace I cut off and used to make corner on all 4 corners to just strengthen the corners, and just added in a little acrylic flower as well. The lighting today is just terrible, ladies. It's sunny out, but it's overcast, and it's just really hard to get the lighting really good. So that's the little journal that's inside, and it does fit inside the little pocket there. I'm not going to put it back right now because it just takes time to do that. This page has a little fairy image on it with a little bit of stickling on her wings so they sparkle a bit. This trim around the edge is from Craft Supplies For You. In behind is a square doily. You can get a set of square doilies from Craft Supplies For You, and they're actually really nice for doing book pages. They fit really nicely on the pages. These pages are probably, I don't know, they're more like 6 by 6 or something like that. So they fits really nicely. This is a little bit of trim from my stash, just on the edge of the page, and I like the beading on there. And then I've just attached a little charm on there, and the charm is a little heart and has a key attached, and it says "Made with Love." And these are in the Craft Supplies For You store, along with a lot of other little charms that she has. Just a little flower stacked up with some appliques and some doilies, and a little satin flower in the center. Some little fabric flowers along the base of the page here, and those are from a stem that I purchased from Craft Supplies For You. This is a dangle trim that's from my stash, and I just added the little flat back pearls in the center. They go along with the colors in her dress. And then if I flip this up, trouble is when I flip this up, I get really close to the camera, so I don't want to bump it. There's an eyelash trim in there, or peacock trim, sorry, that is from Craft Supplies For You also. And then this trim, which comes, all these come all connected together on the trim, but I cut them all apart because I really like them, using them to make my own dangles. And then I just add flat backs and the little acrylic flowers on there to add a little bit of sparkle and interest in the dangles. And then this is the next page, and it is also a fairy image, and I've added stickles to her wings too so they sparkle, and a little trim around the edge, which is also from Craft Supplies for You, and I added little flat back pearls in the center. This pretty iridescent, I don't know if it's catching on the camera, there is a green fabric in behind, and then this iridescent trim on top, and this flat lace trim is from Craft Supplies for You. It's about 6 inches wide, so it works really well again for doing fabric books and wall hangings, that kind of thing. And it's got a stitching on it, and then that iridescent thread in it as well. It's very pretty. This is that same trim that is on the side of the book here. Here I used it on the bottom of the page, and I left that little bit of edging on it this time for the length. This is just a little bit of material from my stash, and I threaded it through this really pretty piece of heart bling from Craft Supplies for You. You get these in a set of 3 in a package. Very, very pretty and very nice for sliding ribbon through. And I just put a little pink acrylic heart in the center. The butterflies are from my stash. There's that pretty peacock trim again, and that's from Craft Supplies for You. And then there's that trim I was talking about that comes all connected together, and I just cut them all individually. And then I added bling on the bottom on this side of the page where they show as well, so that no matter what side of the page you're looking at, you're going to see a little bit of bling and a little bit of sparkle. This is the back page, and I've used a Battenberg square doily from Craft Supplies for You, folded down to make the pocket, and I think they're about 4 inches or so. I always laugh at everybody that doesn't have a ruler handy when it comes to doing filming, and I'm guilty of the same thing. Let's just see here. 4 inches, so they're 4 by 4, and I just folded the top down to add strength to make the pocket. And then this little applique is a heart on the front. I added to the front, and that's also from the store, and you get 3 of these heart appliques, I believe it is, in a pack. And I added some pink satin ribbon in behind it, just so that it just added something to the, rather than just seeing the white behind it. And this is the back is that same material as what you saw on the inside of the front cover. Some pink satin ribbon. This is another trim from Craft Supplies for You that I have along the edge here. The one along the top and the side here is actually a piece that I cut. So this is what it actually looks like when you buy it in the store, and it's an embroidered sheer lace. Very pretty, has these little flowers on it, and then the bottom has a scallop with these little embroidered, almost look like little bursts of like fireworks or something. And what I did was I cut it apart right along there, and I used the scalloped part with this little bursts of fireworks along the top with the pink ribbon underneath, and then the little flowers, the little embroidered flowers and the leaves, I fussy cut them out, and I put them along the edge of the page here over top the pink satin ribbon. And I do use hot glue, but I use very minimal amounts. I don't mind if there's a bit of movement in what I've put on, and it's still very soft. You don't feel any globs of glue or anything. This is that same trim, excuse me, from the side of the page here. These little hearts are from my stash, and that's that. This is a beautiful trim from Craft Supplies for You, and that's the one I cut apart as well. That's the one that's similar to the front of the page. I've added in some little dangly leaves in between it, so it does make it look a little bit different. And I added pink flatbacks, sparkly flatbacks in the middle of the flowers here. And that is a pocket, and in that pocket I made up 2 little notepads with the matching paper that is used inside the journal and in the front tags. And so there's lots of journaling room, or these you could just put them in your purse, but there's lots of room on both of those as well. And those are both tucked in there. And then the back cover is, you can see the napkin more on there. It's a beautiful napkin. And I purchased that from Kim from Angel Dream Crafts. I don't think she has any more of them, but it's just such a pretty napkin. And I just love how you can adhere them to paper or fabric with the iron-on technique with the saran wrap, and how it allows you to use them in this application, and it looks beautiful and it feels like fabric. Little embellished butterfly there, and I like to do those, and I have a tutorial on how I do those. This one's a double one, but the idea is the same, just adding flat backs onto them so they are a little bit more to them. Same trim around the edge of the pages and edge here that I used on the front. A little cluster flower with some appliques. These are used to be from Craft Supplies for You. She doesn't have them in the store anymore. Another little crocheted flower. This is the leaves and one of those rose appliques that I showed you before, and I just used it in behind this little flower that I made. Again, same trim on the back with the loopy flowers in the center. The same dangle trim with the hand set pearls, and this time I reversed it. I put the pink lace in behind, whereas on the front it was at the front. So this time it's behind the dangly trim. Did a little bit of a tassel here on the side with pieces of the trims and laces that are inside the book, so that just hangs down there. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed seeing my project share today, and again, it's for a charity event the end of the month, and I will put the links to the designers for Craft Supplies for You and the store in case you're interested in purchasing any of the laces and trims that I have shown today. And I hope you all have a great day. Bye for now.